My name's Dan Murphy and I'm joined here with Chris White, who's played a bucket load of PES 2017 in this last week. And Chris here, he requested this himself, I didn't even have to suggest it, wants to talk about the visuals of PES 2017. Chris, take it away.
Yeah, well, I've kind of felt necessary, and we, the kind of the main crux of PES is if the gameplay isn't right, then what's the point? And that's true, but we've talked enough about how good the gameplay is. I just wanted to mention about the visuals a little bit. So, with the way the stadiums look, I mean, I played Camp Nou multiple times, and there's the kind of different variations in the day and night. The kind of the way the pitch looks in the day and then the night's completely different. The lighting's spot on. The weather systems as well on these different pitches are all spot on, and they all give kind of different aspects of how players react in the rain and how they look in the rain. So, for example, when it's cold and it's night time, you can see the player's breath, which is nuts. You can see.
I noticed that, it was mad.
It is mad, and like the sweat dripping down the face, and it's not just it's falling down the face. I remember specifically noticing Messi. A close up of Messi is that there's kind of sweats on the side of his face, like rolling down, and it's crazy. And like when you're sliding in the rain shooting up, flicking up at the end. When you hit the net after scoring a goal or hitting the side of the net in, the rain's flicking off the back of the net. It's just amazing, and how kind of many elements there are to visuals that have been put in. I mean, specifically down a lot to the Fox engine and what the kind of capabilities are with that now. And it's amazing how they've only started to scratch the surface with this. And you see the improvements from last year massively is the way the faces look. But like, I keep talking about Barcelona, but it's one of the kind of things they've done, isn't it, with getting all the players' likenesses spot on, and how
that's more than lifelike. It's uncanny valley level.
Yeah, and the tattoo placements, the way they smile after scoring, the way they get angry, it's just crazy. And it's not just with Barcelona. The same with Germany and France and Atletico Madrid. You know, they're all so well done and so realistic that it's ridiculous. And I just can't wait to see kind of all the other teams and how they're playing and how they react. But it's not just, as I say, it's not just the animations of the players, even though they are spot on, and the celebrations they do. That's another thing I wanted to mention, is how they all do this kind of same celebration they do in real life, and how they all look spot on, especially Suarez. And it just, they've really gone to town with the visuals and the animation of the players and the way the pitches look and the skyline is, and it's very good.
Yeah, while I can like give and take the quality of visuals on the, like when you're playing, like how nice it looks when you're on the pitch, like from a distance when you're playing, I can give and take that. I'm not too fussed. But what really blew me away when I was playing PES was the animations of the players. So like Suarez got tackled and he immediately put his hands to his face like he does in real life. I think I was playing one when, who was it? It might have been Messi, I want to say, or Guts or something like that, who got tackled, and you could see we paused it on the replay, and you could see the grimace on his face as he's got his leg cracked in half. And then there was stuff like, them putting their hands up to get called for the ball, and the faces animations when you pause the replay. I should say the breath on the players when it's cold. They've really gone to town on animations. I think the animation, I should say the celebration. So Neymar can take his top off if he scores. He's the only one who can do it because he was the cover star last year. He was taken to Tokyo to do a full body scan thing for the game, and he's the only one who has tattoos as well. The tattoos are all real on him, because he's the one who's had the full body scan and all that, and he can take his top off because of that, and he still gets booked. He does it, and you do it. You have to do it late in a game and stuff. And I never got to do it when I was playing. Did you manage to do it?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, neither could I. I was gutted. But one day, last minute equaliser or winner to just top us off, and just awful. And the animations, and then the animations just like in the cutscenes between when someone's getting booked, how it's all really good. And and just how the animations of the shooting, there's so much more animations in this game, and it makes into the other topics, like you said, we've talked enough about gameplay, but all this animations and visuals all links back into the gameplay because that's the focus. And the animations on shooting, passing, defending, all of it just all links into one, and it just makes for one really good, authentic, brilliant game.
Definitely, the way that games flow is immense, and it kind of it flows with how the games, like the score. So for example, if you're down, your players kind of pick up the pace a bit, and they get into the other half. So obviously, it's down to tactics as well, but the way they move, there's a lot more urgency to them. So the flow of in different situations is kind of spot on. The actual movement of the ball and the players around it is very, very kind of smooth as well. So you're playing a good passing game. The different kind of passes you can put in help get players into position, like the 1-2 touch, that works really well. And just the way the whole game kind of moves from one end to the other is very natural and very realistic, and kind of how you get from one end to the other. You can't so like one of the most annoying things about any football game is when you're playing against someone who's probably played 3 games of football in their life, and they manage to run down the centre and just kind of get on goal. There's none of that. You really have to be smart with how you play, and you're rewarded by kind of the movement and how that works on your side. You've got to be smart just as much as it's kind of visual and how your vision as well. So it's excellent.
See, all of this really there's 2 ways this excites me, kind of thing, and there's like one story I've got that exemplifies it a lot. So I think one way is that different teams you play, they have styles, they have players that suit that styles, and then it really makes sense to play that way. You don't just, so you're playing Atletico Madrid, you don't play as you always play, where passing it along the back. When you're Atletico Madrid, you hit it out to the wings, or you hit it straight up to Griezmann, or not Nolito anymore. You hit it to bloody, what's this chaps, Torres, my boy Fernando. You hit it to my man Yannick Carrasco. You give it to the players who are skillful. You have your 2 jobbers in the middle, Gabi and Thiago, who are the workers. Then you get the ball straight out to the skillful players who can do the work with it, and that's how you play with Atletico, because that's what Atletico do. But when you're Barcelona, every player can play, so you take your time and spread the ball throughout the whole pitch. So it's each team has their distinct style, and at the minute, because you're playing as those teams, they have those players that suit it, so it makes sense to play like that. You're not just playing the same way with every team, which just gets stale and boring, and it defeats the object of having teams in other said football games. And then my favourite bit, I think, of how realism it is that the skill in PES is really downplayed. So it's not in like the other football game where there's a skill button. Well, there is a skill button, but in FIFA, it's literally you have the right stick button, and then you can just do all manner of different types of skill all the way up the pitch. But with PES, it's a lot more subtle than that. So there is the skill button, but it only pays to use it in certain situations. But the real skill comes from how you manoeuvre the player with the ball, and how you twist and turn and subtle touches. It's a lot more about how you move rather than the skill you actually do. So there's one point I remember vividly, was when I was on the winger with Sané playing against a guy, and the ball came to him and it looked like he was going to cut inside, but instead I then knocked the ball forward and went through on goal. So it's just about how you manoeuvre the ball, how you just glide past players, little dummies, little feints. That's a lot more where the skill comes, rather than just like I said, rather than just flicking an analog stick and then you're doing a rainbow chop and you're away from someone. It's a lot more subtle, and it takes a lot more effort, and that's why it's a lot more satisfying, and it looks a lot more smoother and realistic when you do it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think the skill comes from not you. I mean, I barely use the right stick because I find a lot of the skill comes from in the way you move with the ball. So I always kind of trap with the R2 and then run off with the let go and run off with a boost, and in the correct direction enough to do that to kind of confuse the opposition. And a good run is just as skillful as a flick or a trick. And
more so, and the depth to this is like there's so much depth to it as well. Like it's sad to say, and I think the story I've got of how flows of games work and stuff, and how like I had a very distinctive game that sticks in my memory, and it was between actually the 2 worst teams on the demo, which is Boca Juniors and River Plate.
Yeah. And
obviously that's a big derby, so it was fun playing it and stuff. And I remember doing it, and I went down to 10 men really early, so obviously that changes the complexion of the game entirely, because you feel the loss of losing a man in that. So you're not closing down people as quickly. You can't. The other team always has a spare man, so they can pass around you a lot more freely. Yeah. And that game was me pretty much backs against the wall, resisting the pressure. But then I managed to. I saved a penalty actually. Then I went up the other side and smashed into the top corner, and that was like a counter-attack goal, realistic to that situation. And then for the rest of the game eventually finished 1-1, I think. Well, it did, and I was very much just backs to the wall. Roman like defending, clearances, all that jazz. Yeah. And that was like a very distinct game that I find familiar. I've seen that game in real life. Yeah. And it was so vividly different to every other game where it was two teams attacking each other with counter attack and tiki taka and all that type of jazz.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you got any stories particularly from how you played PES? Any stories that stick in your mind?
More so, kind of the. I mean, there was one where I think it was Barcelona, of course. I was playing against France just for a bit of a change, because I have a thing about playing with national teams against normal ones. But I think I was down 1-0 at the end of the first half, and it was one of the first games I played, and I was so kind of rusty because you could play 16 until you blew in the face, boys, because it's so different. It's been a while since I played it.
Oh, I can't go back to 16.
Yeah, well, I tried and it didn't work, and then you forget how to attack, and as soon as you start adapting to this way of playing it, it kind of becomes a lot easier. But anyway, I was down 1-0. I ended up winning 2-1 for a few kind of fancy plays by specifically Suarez and Neymar. One was like a through ball from Busquets to Suarez on the left, and he kind of clipped it in, and Neymar did like a low kind of, he kicked it low, but it flew over the keeper into the top right hand corner from like the far left post, and it was just like the way that the ball moved down the pitch was because I did that, and it just felt very satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the game, towards the end, Neymar kind of repaid the favour with giving Suarez an opportunity, where he kind of played it through a few kind of closely knitted passes on the edge of the box to like the back post, where Suarez just tapped it in, and it's very rewarding when your skill kind of gets you those goals, and the way that you made that move and that ball flow was just it's hugely satisfying.
Another big feature on PES 2017, of which we've both played loads of in the last few weeks, is a thing called adaptive AI. And when I was told about this, Adam Batty over at PES, he was buzzing about it. He couldn't keep the smile off his face describing this. And basically what it is, ladies and gentlemen, is how if you're playing against a single player, the AI, so to speak, they will adapt to how you're playing. And I've not played much of the single player, so I've not really noticed as much, but Chris White here, he's played loads of it. So Chris, how good is adaptive AI?
To be quite honest, it's probably the best feature of it, and you're right. I mean, when I went to the kind of the first preview event of it, Adam was talking about it, and like you say, he was buzzing, and it's genuinely
described himself as a mad scientist.
Yeah,
so that's how mad it feels.
It's never been done before in a football game, definitely. So as you say, I played. I mean, everything I did at the second preview event yesterday was just literally play against a computer, and it's so noticeable how you, like, for example, my style of play is very much, I'm very fond of the wings, and I use the wings quite a bit. If you use the wings too much, the opposition starts to learn that, and they'll see you go for the wing, and they'll probably send kind of one or two people to your wingers, and not just kind of back off like they may have done before. So it teaches you to play better by going down the middle more. Maybe you don't go down the middle because you rather play to wide. So you try to go down the middle. If you try going down the middle too much, they'll stop you. You just have to mix the way you play has to be mixed up, or else you'll never get anywhere. And
the possibilities of this is what really excites me, because you can theoretically you can bait your opponents into it. So you keep going down the wing for the first half an hour. They think, they're going down the wing. Bring out people from the middle, out wing, and then boom, you hit them through the middle. You've tricked them. The possibilities of that really are endless, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking forward to see is whether, say you use Neymar for every strike, just like an example, whether they're going to put man markers on Neymar. So that's something I didn't get to see, whether they do that. I mean, that would be interesting, whether they just put two people on him all the time because you're using him all the time, so it'll force you to use the other players. That kind of thing's quite exciting. So to see how that works is interesting. Another way that I'm looking forward to see what they do is like in season mode. So throughout a season, does the AI?
Well, they don't. I asked this, and they said no. We haven't thought about it at this stage, but that could be the next step of it, and that is an exciting prospect. For
I mean, I'll be honest.
Teams adapt to you throughout a season.
Yeah, I'll be honest. They've come on leaps and bounds by just bringing this into it. So to see that later date will be amazing.
One step at a time.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of playing a game over 90 minutes, it's quite clear that this is one of the things that's going to either make people's excitement or break it, because it will stop people playing the same style as they do, and it will force change in play. And that to be honest, is great. That's the way it should be. That's the way football is, because every team is different.
And I like the idea of how it adapts to how you defend as well. So apparently, if you, let's say you always defend with interceptions, you're intercepting their passes really well, they'll start going long to the strikers and whatnot and try to hit you over the top rather than on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just so many possibilities in the way this is going to go down that it's going to be incredibly exciting to see.
Yeah, so the possibilities are endless, and it sounds really groundbreaking, like revolutionary stuff, and it's really, really exciting. So if you want to know more about this groundbreaking PES 2017 and listen and watch us talk about all these amazing new features and whatnot, please stay right here on youtube.com/GodisaGeek. Click that little subscribe button down below and you can get all the videos. And once you've watched all of them, you can go over to GodisaGeek.com where there's even more content. We've got interviews and previews, all in written words about PES 2017. And then beyond that, we've got features, reviews, loads and loads and loads of stuff on all types of video games. So why don't you shimmy on over there, and once you've shimmied on over there, why don't you be a beautiful little darling and support the brilliant GodisaGeek.com and go over to patreon.com/GodisaGeek. Throw us a couple of quid, couple of bucks, a couple of yen, whatever your currency is, we're not picky, and support the content we do so we can do even more for you. Thank you for watching.
Should have backed the GodisaGeek Patreon.